What's up, everybody? All right, we are live. So, you can see on my screen, I got a little arrow here on the S&P 500. So Trump spoke today, tonight actually, a few minutes ago, and yeah, he said some stuff, man. He talked about the war. He talked about how dominant we were, how many people we've killed, and he painted a nice picture for everybody to get a good view of what's happening. But he also didn't say the magic words. He didn't say anything about peace talks or them surrendering or whatever it needs to be to end this shit. So, end of the day, he ended up saying that's going to take some more time and that they're close. He used those words, and then the markets just started nuking. They just did not like what was going on. I think nobody wants a war. Nobody wants to have troops on the ground and us invading. So look, I'm just going to look at the S&P. I want to talk about some context here on like going into this event and how you can kind of play these news events moving forward. So look, S&P has been trailing down in this trend for quite a bit of time, right? All of March going into April, right? And we were pushing into the trend today, and I talked about this in the Discord with a few of the people there and a few of the members. I made a post about there's a potential. I was like, look, we're coming up into resistance. I don't know what's happening, but look, if we don't, it's a make or break situation here. We need to have, S&P needs to decide if it's going to, break out and break this trend and potentially run up a little higher, or it's going to roll over and we're going to get a pullback. And going into the Trump event, I want to break it down a little bit more. This is what we were doing. And I had given this trade out, believe it or not, in the Discord, tacticaledgetraders.com, if you guys are interested in joining. It's free to join, free courses, free to join the Discord. We don't gatekeep any of that stuff. But yeah, I was talking about this little head and shoulders pattern going into this trend. I'm like, we got the rejection. If you went into the 1 hour, you could see the bearish divergence going into this high. And then when you get into the 4 hour, you can see there's bearish divergence, and we looked oversold. So there was a lot of reasons I was like, this is potentially a local high. If this trend breaks, this thing is going to shoot down hard. And my target was originally 6,500, but it's getting hung up here on the 6,520, which is a good area as well. But ultimately, I think we do make our way back down to 6,500. I think it's just a matter of time. It's just the low down here. So it was a good trade. I locked in a couple hours on that one. It was a nice trade for me. I don't know if anybody else caught it in the Discord. I'm sure I'll hear more about it, but yeah, it's been a good night for me. Not a great night for the markets, unfortunately, but hey, that's why there's a short button, right? But yeah, I mean, a couple other things. Look, gold was kind of running up. We've been running up the last few days on a few things. And, we're getting to a point where it's like, okay, things are a little bit like, this is a little abnormal. It's on low volume. There's a lot of reasons like to be skeptical. I was on edge all week. And not just myself, but a few other traders like Ben in the group and a few of our other, regular traders, day traders. They were all just like, we're not feeling too confident about this pump. We're not looking to long. We're just waiting to see what happens. A lot of us were sidelined. I know myself today. I didn't take a trade all day today until this short. Because I just didn't feel right longing into this pump that was just felt inorganic. Like, they didn't feel like there was buyers behind it. And it just didn't feel like it had a footing. So gold, look, gold, I talked about this descending triangle in the Discord. And I said, look, if it breaks this, I mean, look, that's the first target is this 4,700. Like, it's the most obvious target. Now, look, if it plays the full measured move, gold could make its way back up to 5K. What needs to happen at this point for gold, and this is just my opinion on this, by the way, but yeah, what really needs to happen with gold, it needs to hold this 4,600 level. This breakout right here, maybe this trend that it's starting to develop, it's got to hold above. If it can hold above, there's a shot that we might make our way up to this 5,000. If it starts to roll over and starts to get acceptance back below this like 45.80, 45.90 zone, then it's probably just going to roll over and break down. So this is going to be a key level for a pullback on gold if it's going to continue in its uptrend. Right now, the markets are a little spooked out. We just had a nice little dump out, so I wouldn't go jumping into any positions. I'd let the market prove it first. And right now, this thing looks like it could pull back a little bit more. So that's another play I'm waiting for myself. I want to see if there is a bounce here. I would be more than happy to take a nice little bounce play, but not where it's at now. I need to see this liquidity swept down here, you know, the low, about 46.50 maybe, and maybe see how we react off this trend. Otherwise, I'd be looking down here at this breakout for a retest. Talked about SPY. Look, SPY, like I said, is probably going on to 6,500. Not much really more to say about that one. Maybe we get a bounce there. Maybe it runs down harder. Qs were looking heavy too. I was talking with Ben earlier today. Yeah, everything's going down. But yeah, dude, like I was talking with Ben earlier and I was like, yo, Q looks heavy and it's going into resistance. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like it just feels like Trump, like they're pumping up into Trump and everyone's expecting to say something good. Because the last bit of news we got was peace talks, which is understandable. The markets react to it. But today it was just saying we're not peace talks. This is, you know, we're taking this by force. And people, you know, markets get spooked. I bet you, I'll tell you what right now. Let me go look at the dollar. Yep, dollar's spiking. I mean, just on that news alone when Trump spoke, look what the dollar did. Shot up. People are risk off. This is a sign. When the dollar reacts like that, that's usually a sign that we're risk off right now. And, or at least the markets are temporarily spooked. So dollar keeps climbing. It's going to be risk, you know, assets are going to continue to drop. What I am looking for, though, on BTC, a little bit of a trend here. If it loses this low here, I think BTC is coming down for the full sweep of 65K. Yeah, he did go hawkish. He did, man. It didn't sound good, bro. He started to, he was like not pulling punches. He was being real blunt. And I was just watching the market. I'm like, yup, this is exactly how I would react too if I was in the market. But yeah, man, Bitcoin, look, if Bitcoin loses this low right here, like if it can't hold right here, the next logical place for this thing to go is going to be down here about 66K. So to me, there might be a trade there if we can get a back test or some sort. I'd be looking for like maybe a little pop down here, right? Get a little bit of a back test, and then maybe we continue down and try to take this low out. Otherwise, it might just fucking run straight down. I did catch a short from here on this pullback here. I gave this trade out in the Discord. I pretty much said everything but when I was going to enter. And I gave it out like a few minutes before it actually played out. I didn't think it was going to play out that quick, BT dubs, but yeah, I made a nice couple. I made some good money there, but I took profits here. So I was looking to say, if I'm going to re-enter, I need to see these set of things happen first. So I want to see acceptance under the trend. But this could be the target down here on BTC. What are you trading, Kush? You in anything? You caught a nice short? Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Dude, I gave this trade out, Kush. Go check the Discord. I lied to you now, brother. Look here, I'll show you right here. So look at the SPY. So look at Bitcoin. I gave that, look at the SPY trade where I gave it out. Right up here. I said, hey, look, right before it did that little pop-up. And then when it popped up, I said short in play. It just dumped. And I even said 6,500 be the target. I'm like, that's where it's going to go if it's going to go. So, I mean, we don't fuck around in the Discord. That's all I'm going to say. It's not just me, too. There's some killers in there that they put some banger setups in there. And again, we're not a signals group, man. We're just a group of real traders. If you're interested, tacticaledgetraders.com, free courses on the website, and you can also join the Discord from the website. Also, if you haven't hit the like button, you haven't subscribed, go ahead and do that. You help out the channel to get us push us out there in the algo, get more viewers, and also get notifications to go live. Ben goes live like 4 days a week at 5 p.m. Eastern. He does like a market breakdown of what happened during the day. He talks about like the overall sentiment. He really gets into it, man. Like really tune into that one. If you're gonna watch anything, tune into it, because like he'll really get your finger on the pulse and understanding how like all these different like aspects, like the fundamental side, the macro, all of it like comes together and builds like a direction, builds an idea, a sentiment in the market, and he really goes into it pretty deep. So. He talks about some good stuff. And then I go live, at nighttime. We do some degen stuff. Right now, I'm just watching to see if there's a trade coming up soon. to be honest. Because I just exited one, but I want to see if there's either going to be a bounce here or if we're going to have continuation. You're short on Arrow. Wish you would have spoke today. I held all through the drawdown, short at the bottom, looked like normal market. Yeah, dude. I hear that heating and air. Yeah, man. I don't know. Like, I'll just give you a little tip, dude. If we're like, look, I'm gonna show you what the Nasdaq was doing all day going into the speech, and I was like, dude, this is bearish as fuck. So, right, we're putting in like a top, right? We're putting divergence in the entire day. You can just see it on the hourly, like this entire move up, bearish divergence. And then, right, we put that little top in, and then we just go sideways all day like a giant bear flag. The minute it popped like that, I was like, oh, this thing's about to dump. They came up, trapped some traders, and then just jet fuel down. That's a classic move, especially going into a big news event. So you can always bet that whatever direction you're headed going into these events, like the first one is usually the false one. So, but yeah, short on Arrow. Let me go look at Arrow for you. You love those. We just got done talking about trading shit coins. Good short, bro. We said that if it breaks down from here, man, if it can't hold this, it's coming down. Right? We said these lows needs to hold that range, and it just failing it. Hey, man, back down to 30 cents probably. That's a nice little short there, isn't it? Yeah, look at that. Look at that head and shoulders kind of like pattern. That's not a good that's a distribution right there. I mean, it was ranging though, but just fucking nuked. What's Bitcoin doing? It's trying to hang on here. But everything's telling me more downside, if I'm being honest. Maybe we get a little bit of a relief pump. But other than that, I think we're still going down. Caught the long and the short. Damn. Good shit, dude. Look at oil. Oil was at a make or break moment, man. It was gaining acceptance back into... That's why I was looking at this thing. I'm like, look, if oil gains acceptance back under like 100, it's probably coming back down to retest this 92. Maybe 96. But like no sooner Trump started speaking, this thing just popped. So as long as this is going up, guys, like don't expect anything else to go up with it. Everything else is probably going to go down. Maybe the dollar goes up, but right now this is flirting with a breakout because what is this at the end of the day? This is a bull flag. You see what I mean? Like if this thing really actually starts to break out, like it's not going to be great. I think I did this measured move once. Yeah, it takes us to sweep the highs. So maybe, look, if this thing continues and this plays out, how do we confirm this? If it breaks 106, it's probably likely going back up to 120. Not going to be good for our gas tanks, guys. Straight up, that's going to suck. So I'm watching oil, man. If you're not watching oil, you're doing it wrong right now. That's all I'm going to say on that one. You got to watch what's hot. Right now, oil's driving the market. That's gold. We talked about that gold play. That's Ben's Nike play. It's on my list now. Look at Nike, guys. I'm putting this on everybody's radar because Ben put it on my radar. So shout out to Ben on that one. But I mean, look, man, Nike's been trailing down, right? So you got this beautiful trend line going down, right? So there's a few areas of interest. It reached one, and look, we got to see what happens. Like it lost this major low. Like from back here, this $50 low. It gapped down. You go to the daily, you could see the gap, right? You see how it gaps down. So when the market's open tomorrow, we need to see how this is going to react. Like, is it going to come back up here? Because this now becomes a target for Nike. So it's either going to do one of two things, right? In my mind, if it gets up here, it's either going to reject and continue down, or fuck around below, something like that, right? Or it's going to attempt to fill it. And then we have a decision to make. Does it gain acceptance back into the range, or does it reject back down? So it's like we got to look for those are like my three scenarios there going into this open tomorrow on Nike. I'd say the more likely is probably down, but maybe they go up, grab some liquidity, then they come down. But yeah, I mean, I guess what I'd want to see to get bullish on this thing to like start accumulating some positions, because I think there's a nice little pop. Look, here's the way I'm looking at this. Everybody's got a different way. I think Ben laid out his plan. If we get let's say this is a deviation and we get acceptance back into this and we break trend, we start to shift structure on a higher time frame, I'm looking for a move back up to 81. So it doesn't matter if I get in at $60 or $55. As long as I get a good confirmation that the market's going up, I'm probably going to look for a position. Probably when this trend breaks and I see a shift in structure, I'll look for a higher low to enter on. And my target will probably be up here. Maybe it goes higher than that, but I think it's going to be a nice pop. Probably a nice pop back up to this area. But that's Nike. What do you guys want to look at? That's like a last minute live today. I just figured I'd go talk about the markets real quick, get a little update. Keeps me on my toes too, because I have to update my charts. Looks like BTC's gaining acceptance down here. If it does, man, I think it's just going to keep going. It's going to just keep bleeding out. This is the last thing. This is the only thing that was holding BTC up here. And you can see we got a little bit of a reaction right on that trend. But if it gains acceptance below, I mean, like I said, this is the next target, really, down to 66. We'll see. Let's go see what else is moving tonight. A lot of U.S. stocks are closed right now, so we can't really see any of those. What's silver doing? Yeah, silver's a little bit silver's in a precarious spot too. So silver's it's in a worse spot than gold, because like you could see, look, I'm just gonna get rid of all the TA here. How do I get rid of all the TA? There we go. Remove drawings. So if you're looking at silver, silver barely made it back up, right? So silver's still struggling to get back above like these previous highs right here. Previous lows, like it's struggling to get back into the range. So if you go down to your daily, like it's rejecting here. So there's like one or two things are going to happen. Like it's either going to make another attempt and break through like gold did maybe, or it's going to reject here and roll over. And the way I'm looking at it, it's like it's more poised for a rollover than anything else. Go down your 4 hour on silver, see how it's kind of lining up. Like it's either got to break this $75 level and like hold and it has a chance to push up a little bit, or it's going to roll over and it's coming back down to the 61. So I think this trend's going to be something I'm watching too, probably into the coming days. Maybe tonight, tomorrow, we'll probably have some clarity on which direction this wants to go. We'll see. What time is it? All right. What else you guys want to look at? Otherwise, I'm just going to chill here and watch Bitcoin. Nobody has anything they want to look at. Let's just do some, go to the 5-minute, be a degen. You want to look at RZLV. Okay, we can look at that. Rezolve AI PLC. That's the right one? Okay. Let me just change my settings real quick. 1 second. I guess I can't change the settings for this. There it is. Trying to change up the colors for the aftermarket. It's not letting, whatever, I'll figure out later. Alright, so anyway, let's just look at this, see what's going on. It's on support right now, it looks like. But I gotta get a bigger picture. I haven't looked at this in a while. Alright, so oof. So look, it's been beat down pretty hard, right? It's finding a little bit of support off this level here. It's a weekly level. And it's finding a little bit of support, right? You got a little bit of a break. You're getting a break of structure right now on the weekly. So there was your weekly low. That was your weekly swing high. That was your higher low. And now you're breaking. So right now it's looking good. You can even argue, right, if you want to pull a trend, you can say it's breaking trend too. So like it looks like it's poised for some upside move if it can sustain, right? can I get some follow through here? So there's your break of structure. That's a key level now. So right now, support is going to be like, let's try to hold. Ideally, it could wick below, but ideally you want to try to hold above this high now, around $3, $2.93. But if you can, and you can clean like a clean break, maybe you'll get a back test. Who knows? You know, it'll do its thing. The target's up here around that $5 region. So that would be my target if it can hold above this level. The key here is not to lose this low at 240, 230. Can't come back lower than this. It's got to put in higher lows to prove to the bulls, you know, that the trend is now up, higher lows. So higher highs, higher lows. That's what it's got to do. But it looks okay for now. I mean, let's see. Let me see what the momentum looks like. I mean, momentum's on your side. It looks good on the daily. Weekly looks fine. You got bullish divergence on the weekly right there. You know, that's pretty good. That's a good sign. So higher time frames say it might have some upside. We just got to see if does it like react like the rest of the market in the short term and get a pullback, or does it continue up? But yeah. Nice. Yeah, man, it might be a nice little trade, dude. If you got in at a good level, all right? That's how my mind thinks, right? Let's say you got in on a back test, or say you got in on the break or whatever. Your stop naturally is going to go somewhere under there. And if you're targeting up here, you're still going to get a 2 to 6, you know, almost a 3 RR. But ideally, you would get a tighter entry. Like, you know, if you're in from here, you're just buying the breakout. But let's say you got in back here, you know, you're closer to like a 5 RR. And if, let's say, you do get a pullback, right? So let's say you get a pullback, and then like it comes somewhere like that. Maybe your entry goes down there, you know. Either way, you can still get a nice risk to reward ratio to attack the next level. You know, anything higher than a 3 is pretty good in my book. Now, if you're really sharp, then maybe you can go with a 2 to 1, but I would never, I don't do it. You're up 20% so far. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I can look at ONDM. Sorry, I gotta take my Zen out. So yeah, man, this thing, we talked about this a while back. Like, it got beat down pretty bad, right? ONMD, yeah, I'm looking at the right one. All right, so it's beat down pretty bad. Here's your range, right? You're just kind of like getting these impulses up. That's, I think this thing is probably on its last leg, but doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to pump here and there. I mean, can I tell you exactly when it's going to pump? No. But I will say this is kind of like a rough draft of the range. You get some impulses above it. If you get higher than this level, you get a nice push up. So it's basically between 46 cents and about $2. You know, anything above $2, you're getting these nice fast moves up usually. So if it's putting in a higher low here, you know, there's a chance that it's going to go attack this high at $2, right? So let's go look at the daily, see how the daily's looking. That was the weekly. Daily's in an uptrend, right? You got your low, high, higher low, break of structure, back test. So you have your market structure shift. As long as it stays in an uptrend, I think you're good on the daily, right? So mark out your trend. A short time frame, maybe not so short, but like, you know, maybe in the next couple days or weeks, this wick right here at 139 is going to be a target. So I'd probably watch that if it continues its uptrend. If it starts, as long as it's above that trend, this is probably going to be your short-term target. Otherwise, you lose that trend, you're coming back down to the lows around that 50 cents, 46 cents area. So just see how this trend holds up. I mean, look on the 4-hour, it looks okay still. You know, that's the target in the short term. If you break that, then there's not much stopping you from getting up to that $2 area. That's probably like the last little bit of a resistance. So those are your levels on ONMD. You needed to go to 2. You didn't put a stop loss or anything. That's crazy, bro. Hopefully you're just buying and holding, or are you using like leverage? If you're using leverage, you're crazy. If you're just holding the stock, maybe that's, you know, it's all right. What's up, Freeman? Hello, SA. Happy full moon harvesting time. Yeah, right. Market doesn't agree, though. I needed to go to 2. Elab? What is Elab? Kind of hard to chart this. I'm going to be honest with you. Whoever asked for this watches in. It's kind of tough, brother. And the reason I say that is because, look, it's been down only. So it's hard for me to say anything other than that. It looks like it's just like dying out. It did get a little bit of a pop, but you know, there's been pops along the way. You know, these are short squeezes. So I guess if you're just trying to find a level, you got an interesting zone coming up here in a little bit. Let's say around $17 up to about 20, maybe 19.50. You have a gap that was left behind, right? So it's an obvious target for me at this point. If it continues up. But there's not really much else. If you break that, then you got that high around 23, right? Right around here, this wick. So those are the real levels to the upside. To the downside, I mean, look, this is the low. You left this behind. You didn't leave much of a daily low. Like, this is your daily level. You left a little bit of a gap back down here. So I don't know if they'll come fill it right away. Then maybe they're going to go up top and test this first. But, you know, it's a pretty big range here to play with. And look at that. I mean, it's crashed overnight on the market. This is just where it closed at $14. Since the market's closed, it's dropped $7, 50%. Yeah, man, that's not a good look. I'll tell you what, that's not a good look overnight. So what I would really recommend, like, watch this level here. If you start to lose this low that you're sitting at around $6.57, that gap's next. That $3 down to $2. That's the target. And this is a bearish engulfing, so really need to see how the next couple hours close. When's this next candle open? So that starts around 4. Okay, so this just opened. Okay, so still some hope, but that's not a good look for the bulls. But yeah, if it can hold, man, if it can manage to hold and doesn't like just give it all back, you know, this gap's your target to the upside. I wish I would have looked at it on the 4 hour first before I said all that. BTC's trying something here. I don't know. Still looks weak to me. Let's see what the stock market's doing. Not really doing much, man. It came back down. It came to that 6,500. Like right to it. That's funny. I don't remember why I got that level. It was just the bottom of the. It was the bottom of the liquidity. When you went to like a 15-minute chart, yeah, it was like down here somewhere. I don't remember why I picked it. It was a good level. It was a whole number, I guess. It doesn't look great though. Stock market doesn't look awesome. Let's go look at some shit coins. All the stocks are closed, so I can't really look at anything else. Well, let's see what JPY. Let me see what the Nikkei is doing. Oof. Looking a little rough here, ain't it? This is Japan's like Nasdaq. This is their big indice. It's taking a nice little tumble there, didn't it? They didn't like that. They didn't like that Trump speech either. Oof. What else you guys want to look at? Otherwise I'm just chilling. There's not much else to really talk about. We can go see what's happening tomorrow event-wise. Oh, by the way, Friday, no trading Friday. New York will be closed, so it's usually like a chill, low-volume day. I don't trade it. Most real traders don't trade it because no markets are open, and you're just kind of playing. You're playing with weekend volatility there. So a lot of manipulation. Most things will be closed anyway. So unemployment claims on Thursday. So that's tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. Eastern. And then Friday we have non-farm employment, average earnings, and an unemployment rate. That's going to be a big one on Friday. But the markets are closed, so we don't even know how that's going to... I don't know how that works. This is like, I don't even know at this point. Like how that plays out, guys, to be honest with you. BP. I can go look at BP, then I'll go look at Lunar. All right. Oof. So BP, look, BP's had a really good run, right? It's been just uptrending for a while. Energy's just been doing good in general. I'm going to go back for bigger context. But we're up against weekly resistance. I figured we were up against something here. So that's what we're up against right there. And our next level up is here. It's up here at this 50-something dollar level, 53. And then we got something at 41. So those are our weekly levels, right? On the daily, like, look, we're rejecting at $48. That's a weekly level. We swept the liquidity. My guess is, unless we put in a higher low here, like, soon, we're likely coming down to take this low at 43. You see how we kind of broke back in and then back tested it. If we lose this low here that we're sitting at around 46, this is the next logical area, is like down here around 43. So I'd be watching for a pullback into that area potentially. Otherwise, look, if it breaks back above 48 and can hold, 54 is your next target. That's your next weekly level. So, but yeah, I mean, there's not really much to TA here. This is their daily low. That's your weekly low, or your weekly level. It's just the previous breakout. That's all at the end of the day. But yeah, looks a little bearish. I'll be honest, but I could be wrong. I'm sure there's plenty of divergence agreeing with me. Yeah, you got a little bit on the 4 hour. Definitely there on the daily. I'm going to show you it real quick. It's a good example. See how momentum's shifting down, but price was shifting up into resistance. That's a classic divergence scenario on a higher time frame like the daily. Usually could signal a little bit of a pullback or some consolidation. It needs to reset is what it's saying. So we'll see how that reacts. Those you got your levels though. Wouldn't 43 be protected? It might be protected. I don't know. Why would it be protected though? Like what happened that's protecting that? Maybe there's something I don't know. I don't know, man. That's a target though. If I'm just looking at it on the daily, that's the daily low. You just swept the daily high. If you can't reclaim that, then the daily low is your next target. Let me go look at Lunar. Look, like analysis is analysis. Like I said, I gave you the up and the down scenario. It has to break this to go higher, and if it doesn't, this is your target to the downside. Like that's just how price moves. I try to keep it simple. Try not to overcomplicate it. Look, this one's interesting because, look, you had this big dump out, right? You had this consolidation. And you're holding above that consolidation. Kind of almost creating like a weird looking cup and handle, right? I don't want to try to get out of context too much, but like this is almost looking a little bit like a cup and handle here. So if it can break above this level, I mean, if it gets back above this $21, $23 level, whatever this high is here, it's a pretty big range. There's a shot this thing runs up a bit. Let me see what the next level is. I mean, on the weekly, you can't even see anything here. I guess this would be the level here to watch. I could kind of see like some wicks on a candle there. Now I'm going to go back to the daily and take a look at it. Let's see what the hell is there. Yeah, there's some wicks up here. Maybe 29. If you can get over that 23, 29 could be in store for you next. If you can get over that level. Otherwise, look, to the down, I got to give you both sides of it, right? If you keep rejecting here and you can't get above this $22, $23 level, then the next logical place for you to go is to come back down here and start to test these lows down here. Maybe you come down here for one final sweep, grab some liquidity, down here. And you see if you can catch support on the previous breakout. That'll be the next logical place. If we start to roll over here, then it's probably going to come down here and test this low of 14. So that's where I'll be watching. Yeah, no problem, dude. GME. GameStop. Looks pretty beat up. Yeah, I mean, this thing's been beat up pretty bad. I'll just keep it real with you. Like, it's just been trading in a range for a long time. I'll show you the range. So this is pretty much here. This is a weekly chart. Essentially, your range low is down here around 20 bucks. And your range high sits around this high, maybe a little bit higher, but you can argue maybe there, right? And then you have like a little bit of a mini range in between. So those are your levels. There's essentially your levels right in this range. So you've bounced off this low. You're trying to right now put in a higher low. You shifted structure. Well, you broke structure. You didn't shift yet. No, you shift it. There's a low on the weekly, high, higher low, and then you broke it. So if you can put another higher low in here, that's a market structure shift. What I'm seeing here on the daily is the little bit of like, could be a bull flag, maybe not. It has to prove itself still, but I mean, it looks like one, you know? So I'd be watching. If this thing starts to break up and you start taking out this high around 24, 25 bucks, you're probably on your way up to 27, 28 to test this high here. And if you can get above that, then you make your way into the second half of the range, back up to 34. But yeah, I mean, let me see what the momentum looks like. Momentum looks good. I mean, it looks good to me. Looks like it's gearing up for a move. Doesn't mean it's going to happen today, but at some point, I think as long as you don't take out this low here, sitting around 21 bucks, you know, there's a chance that this thing, you know, puts in a higher low and makes a crack up back up to this 28. So I'll be watching that. Yeah, no problem. Watson. WMT Ryan Cohen. Is that a stock? Who's Ryan Cohen? I'll look at Walmart. We'll look at some Walmart. So look, Walmart. It's hard to bet against Walmart. But I will say this: Walmart had a nice little trend, right? It was a nice little uptrend here. We were following, and it lost the trend, and it backtested, and it's falling. It's in a temporary downtrend, right? We're holding a level that's pretty important in my opinion. So there's 121. It's also, we've tapped it once, we've tapped it twice. We just swept liquidity. So the key here is what I'm watching. I'm just going to take this trend away. Let's just focus on the price action here. Does it take this high out? If it can take out the high at 127, then you might have, you know, a local low. Otherwise, if it can't take out that high, all it's doing is this at the end of the day. Right? Lower highs. So my expectation is if it can't take out the high at 127, it's probably going to breach this low and make its way back down to this low here. This is the target if we do come. This would be the first target I would have. So around 116 if we can't get back above this 126, 127 level. Also, Bitcoin is dumping. So there's that. Bitcoin's also, look, just for anybody who's new to No Way You Don't Know Ryan Cohen, I don't know what it is, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm not gonna pretend like I know something that's not. I don't. Look, if you trade stocks, if you trade anything risk on, Bitcoin's a really good indicator to follow, even if you don't trade Bitcoin, because Bitcoin often will front run the stock market because it's a riskier asset. So people offload it. You can tell where the risk is going and use it as like a risk metric. And Bitcoin tends to offload first before like the stock market does. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, that's what I'm watching on Walmart. 127's got to break or it's going to roll over and continue its downtrend. And then my target really is like 116. I mean, there's more targets below, but I mean, I'm just kind of like taking it one step at a time, stair stepping down, no rushing it, right? Let's go look up PAC. Dude, I'm gonna type in Ryan Cohen and see what the hell this is. I don't know what that is. No. Does he have a ticker? Or is he a person? No. He felt like a crazy person. PAC. Yeah, I mean, look, dude. I mean, look, we talked about this a while back. This is a big level down here at 200, right? Do I think you're on your way there? Yes. I always say nothing's in a straight line, right? You lost the trend. You lost that 159. So where do you think we're going? If we're just having a back test, we're probably going to make our way up to this level here. So we're probably on our way to this 259, 260 level. And potentially we could go a little higher than that because look, we dropped from this high around 300. So if it wants to, the levels you'd want to watch is one here. I'd probably watch up here around 270 because you see a little bit of a consolidation here. And if it breaks any higher than that, then obviously you have to watch the high. But unless it takes this high out, it's just a lower high. Anything beneath that's a lower high. There's some other tools you can use to kind of figure out where this might go. I like to sometimes use fibs. If we did break above this 259, 260 area, this 270, 271 is very juicy because it's got a 618 and it lines up with a horizontal on the daily. When you get those two in confluence, those are usually good spots to watch. What you can do in the meantime, you got a little bit of a trend forming here. Just watch the trend. As long as it's like starting to stay above this trend, I think you're good. You see what I mean? So trend starts to break, you go into resistance, and this thing starts to do one of these, you're probably going to roll over and, go lower. So that's usually how I track my trades into levels, and wait till it hits those key levels and see what happens. CEO of GME. Oh, I don't know, man. I don't follow shit like that. I thought it was something more important, to be honest with you. But ultimately, this could just be a giant bear flag is what I'm getting to on pack. It just depends where it's going to roll over. Where's it going to put that lower high in? There's some targets above I gave you. But ultimately, I think you do make your way down to 200. Dude, Bitcoin needs to keep going down. Come on. I want this low taken out right here. Because if it gets down here or it gets down to here, those are spots I might look for a scalp. I might look for a scalp long down here at this 65,900 if we get down there. Especially if it gets down there to like tonight or tomorrow, I'm definitely looking for a scalp. If it's like in the next week or two, then I don't care as much. But like if it's after a big dump out like this, I look for high liquidity zones, and that's on my top of my. That's there for me. Runs right here at the bottom of this daily candle. See the bottom of daily? So it's the daily low of that last candle that pumped us up before the reversal candle. So it's going to be a natural target. And I think it's the weekly. Now, yeah, it's the weekly low. So it lines up with the weekly low as well on BTC. So it's just a big level. There's going to be a lot of eyes on that level. You're looking at a lower high right now. It could be a lower high, bro. I didn't say I was going to take a swing trade. I'm looking for a scalp, my dude. Price doesn't move up or down in a straight line. It does bounce. And a lot of times when you get these heavy zones, you get a reaction. And those reactions are great to trade. Look back here. Look back here. So when they see this low right here at 66, when they came down and grabbed it, they ran up. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to reverse, but these sweeps, see how it swept the low here? They usually get you decent moves. Even if the trend's going to continue down, you'll still get a little bounce here. Oftentimes what I look for the first major low. When a trend breaks or we're headed down, I look for that first major trend, right? Or major low. And usually when you hit that low, you'll get some type of reaction. You'll come up, make that next lower high, and then continue the downtrend if that's what you're going to do. So that's usually how it plays out from what I see. Not perfect, but it's what you look for. And if it just shoots straight down, man, it is what it is. It happens, but it's not that's not the norm. But look, there's always the chance that we've been in a downtrend and the trend's going to continue. So, but we're not bearish. I'm not bearish in the short term until this low gets taken out. Definitively, 65,700. If they take out 65,700, then I'm like, I think it's probably off Why do I say that? I'm going to show you real quick. It's like around the 65-ish. Because it's the bottom of the valley. It's the bottom of the range. We've been trading in a range for a while, and if we lose this, I think it's probably over for any bullish hopium. See what I mean? We're like even it's hard to even justify a trend at this point. So we're like starting to breach a lot of levels. So if we start losing this and we lose this low here around the 65,500, this thing's definitely coming down to take out the 60K. You said BTC down to 46K. It probably will get there, bro. You gonna buy it at 46K, Freeman? I might. If it's like in the summer or in early fall, I might actually dip my toes if it's down in the 40s. Yeah, I can do Tron. Tron looks like shit. I'll be honest with you. Let me go look at a different chart. It's not on a bunch of exchanges. Do they even have it on Binance? We do. There is on Binance. All right, so look. The only thing I could say about it, look, you had a double bottom right here. I'm just going to draw a little bit of a line. I'm working on the weekly real fast. So you got a weekly double bottom there. You're up against weekly resistance, which is this high just right there. And then your next big level is up here on the weekly, all right? Ultimately, it's just consolidating in the bigger picture, right? It's just moving sideways. So the question is, does it reject here or does it break out? If it breaks, then it's going to probably move up to the next zone, maybe potentially up to 37. If you can get back above 32. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to do what it's doing, which has been this, until it picks a direction. It's either going to break up or it's going to break down. And if it breaks down, I'll tell you where the target is. It's down here. It's 20 cents. It's just the one spot we haven't got to yet, right? We've broken down. We've taken some liquidity. This is the next. This is the low we haven't gotten to. So if it's going to come for something, it's going to come down here. But in order for that to happen, it's got to lose that $27 support. So you have your upside and your downside on it. On the daily, look, man, you're up against resistance right now. It's hard to want to get long at this moment. I bet you there's bearish divergence on the daily, and there is. See what I mean? You're coming into resistance. You swept the high. You took that liquidity, and you put in a bearish divergence. My guess is this thing's going to come tumbling down just like everything else. Does it come all the way back down to the lows? Who knows? Maybe it just pulls back a little bit, then gets another move. But it's yet to be determined. So we're going to find out. I can tell you this much, though. With BTC looking this way, I can't imagine many cryptos holding up. Like, look at ETH's already breaking down from its trend, right? So they're all in bad spots right now. So Bitcoin's going to lead the charge at the end of the day. Yeah, man, hit that like, subscribe. We go live. I go live like 3-4 days a week around 9 p.m. Eastern. Ben goes live 4 to 5 times a week. 5 p.m. Eastern, he does a market close, like a wrap up for the markets, the trading day, talks about the macro, anything that's going to, that would you, if you were a trader, that's where you want to listen in on, because he's going to break it all down for you. Also, you can check us out, tacticaledgetraders.com. We have free courses. We're not going to sell you a course. We're not going to gatekeep any of that stuff. You can get the courses for free, learn how we trade, and you can also join the Discord over at tacticaledgetraders.com. Real group of real traders. We trade live together. I post setups. I gave out this, and look, when I say post setups, it's not a signals group. I just tell you what trades I'm interested in, levels I'm watching, and if I get a certain reaction, I might do this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to tell you when I smash short or long, but this was the trade I gave out earlier. I said, look, it's consolidating up. We had 1 hour bearish divergence going into this high. It was a significant high, right? It was a long trend. We've been trending down since February, right? Every time we hit it, we came down. So naturally, I'm like, we're going into it. We're printing divergence. It's a matter of this lower trend breaking. That head and shoulders plays out when this neckline breaks. And it just so happened we did this right into the Trump speech. I'm like, it's just too many things lining up that tells me that they're probably going to nuke this thing. So I went short. I posted it in the group, and then yeah, I made a pretty penny off that. I think I made like $1,000 off this trade tonight. So it was nice. Yeah, no problem, Freeman. If you're not in the group, brother, check us out, tacticaleducators.com. Go to the Discord, man. That's where we're all at every day. We're all in there. It's a live community, man. We're always talking about trading stuff, getting better, things that, psychology related stuff. Just, and we share news, we share events, things that could affect the trading environment. So it's just like having more eyes at the end of the day. If somebody sees something in the markets that might spike interest, or we can make some money off of in a trade, we share it amongst each other. It's hard, it's easier than just you scouring the internet yourself every day. Yeah, right. Yeah, I put that in there earlier. Trump spoke. It's the truth though, man. Like, it's like, what, like, you knew if you're pumping into one of his speeches, it's a recipe for disaster. Like, Trump's always like fucking with the markets, man. Excuse my language, guys. I got to be careful cursing. How do you think London will react? I'll tell you what, man. Last night London dumped us, and they dumped the markets because of some overnight news. Something happened and they didn't like it. I think it was a tweet from Trump. So when they wake up and hear this, I don't think they're going to be happy. I don't think it's going to be a good reaction. I think they're going to react very similar to the way Asia did. I think we're in for another down day. But you know what? Historically, April are bad months for the S&P. S&P always, it usually happens in the beginning of the month. Sell the news, yeah. Because people thought the peace talks were coming in. Like, that's what we pumped on. This whole pump here on the SPY, on everything, that came off those peace talks that we heard about earlier this week. I honestly think it was just there to prop the market up. That's just my opinion. It doesn't sound like we're in peace talks with them. Not the way he talked today, man. Yeah, that's true. Oh, nice. You're in the group? Yeah, dude. Yeah, let me know how you like say what's up when you're in there, dude. Unfair Philly is my tag. You probably see me posting stuff. I'm usually in there talking crap. What else you guys want to look at? I got a little bit more time. I got a couple more minutes before I'm going to jump. Yeah, you got a question? How does trading futures work? Like, does the evaluation period work? Can you get payouts? Okay, so you're not just talking about trading futures. You're talking about trading a prop firm, which is a funded account. So futures is a whole different thing. Futures is just basically like a contract. Like, I can trade a futures of like the S&P, or it's just a derivative of the actual stock. You don't physically own it. You're just buying a contract. But if you're talking about prop firms, which it sounds like you're talking about, yeah, you pay an evaluation fee. You have to do a simulation of trading, prove that you can pass the simulation by staying within their rules, making a certain amount of money before losing a certain amount of money, essentially is the gist of it. And if you do that, they'll give you a funded account, which means that every trade that you trade, you can actually make money as long as you don't breach their rules. So yeah, it actually works. So I trade on one of those. He says he's gonna bomb them back. He said some crazy stuff, man. I was like, what? And dude, when I saw the market just turn red, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, man. But hopefully that answers your question, Hobo Shanty. Currently educated on options. Yeah, because futures is different than just a prop. Like, a prop firms, they use futures. Futures are just like a contract. It's a derivative of a stock. You can use leverage on futures oftentimes. XARA on JSE, please. I don't know what that means, man. Oh, I get what you're saying. What's up, J-Mag? All right, so I mean, look, it's in an uptrend, and on the weekly. Let me go out to a higher time frame real quick. This is a pretty old asset. But look, here's the thing: you're coming up to weekly, monthly, the all-time high, right? So that's obviously got to be, a big level to watch. On the weekly though, like look, here's the big level below you. Like look, you have some support down here at like 19,945, and you have a little bit of a trend starting to like you have somewhat of a trend. It's not a great trend, but it's there. You can kind of see what I mean right there, right? So you got a little bit of a trend kind of running up. You got some support. Let's just call it 20,000, and your resistance is up just under 24,000. So look, those are the levels I'd be watching. I wouldn't be trading anything in between this. I'd be watching if we get any pullbacks. Does this level at 20,000 hold? Otherwise, I'd be looking to see what happens when we get up to 24. Does it sweep it? Does it break? Like, what does it do? Maybe it doesn't get all the way up there. Maybe it rolls over first. But yeah. But ultimately, I'd be looking for this to eventually come back down to this. So this larger trend here, I think we make our way into it eventually at some point. Oftentimes you see these bigger trends, you do eventually make your way back down to them. Whether it's in the future when it makes its way all the way here, like could just continue to do this and then do that and then bounce, It's always a possibility. But yep, that's coal mine. Gotcha. Yeah, I did look at oil, but I can take a look at it. I mean, oil's pretty hot right now. I guess we have to pay attention, don't we? This is going, guys. I hate to say it, but it's gone. There's that bull flag. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, if it takes out 107 or 106.6, 107, it's probably not going to be good for everything else because this thing is probably making its way up to 120 after that. So it's got to put in a lower high pretty soon. Otherwise, it's going to confirm a break. So we're getting to that trouble level where if gold starts to go, oil goes up any higher than this, it's going to get a little rough for stocks and crypto and everything you trade. So, but yeah, I mean, it's looking bullish right now, man. It was teetering earlier. Like it gained acceptance back into this range, which had me worried. I was like, look, it didn't have me worried, it had me happy because I wanted oil to go down. But look, below this range, there's a chance that we come back into this old auction house right here. See what I mean? Like we were trading in that auction house. So if it gained acceptance below, I was expecting it to make its way back down here, but it just shot right out. So sometimes they dip in and then they run. So if it stays above this 101, 100, my guess is we're eventually making our way up to 120. But it's got to break that 106, 107 first. So, but I mean, me personally, like my inner me does not want oil to go up because I have to drive my car and I don't want to fucking pay the gas for it. But if I have to like look at it from a chart perspective, this looks bullish right now. I don't think anything that was said today was a good thing. But yeah, that's just oil, man. It might go back to 120. If it breaks 106, 107, I think it's going to 120. There's nothing stopping it. And it's funny because like the bull flag here, the measured move takes you there. I know a lot of people want to say it's topped out, but there's always that double top scenario. Like, and most times when things top out, they don't just put one wick in and just reverse. They usually go back up there and take a little bit of liquidity. So it's crazy to think that oil is just going to collapse from here. We want it to go down. That's the problem. That consumers, like people that lived in the real world, that have to buy things and drive their cars to work or pay for gas to, they have their heat. Like there's a lot of things that oil is going to affect. Makeup. Like it's crazy, but it's the truth. Transportation costs go up, so everything goes up. So we want it naturally to go down, but there's always that chance it's going to mess around up here for a bit. I mean, look what it did before. put a topping wick in and it came all the way back up and then reversed. So we haven't even started that process. So there is a chance it's going to run up for a little bit, but we'll see. We're going to find out this week. If not this week, next week. Yeah, you're right, J-Mag. Wicks do tend to be retested. I don't know how I'm feeling about this BTC right now. It's trying to hold on. It looks like it's getting a little bit of a bounce here. Where's VWAP? Ooh, VWAP's back at POC. That might be a good mean reversion trade. See where it's sitting at POC? POC is like a magnet for price. So usually we kind of like suck back into POC for a back test. And then Asia usually, because it's early in the night, right? Asia oftentimes will back test their VWAP. The question is, does it go down to the value area low first before it does that? Let me see. We have 5-minute structure. No, we don't. We need to see this break first. If that breaks, I'll probably have more confidence to say we're coming up to VWAP and POC. But we'll find out. Anyways, guys, I think I'm going to call for tonight. I just want to do a quick little update. We didn't go live today, but we had our group meet. We do meets every Wednesday as a group. Today we talked about some pretty good stuff for beginner traders. The topic was, you know, why make trading harder than it needs to be? Why are you trading like riskier assets if you don't even know how to trade the easier assets? Because believe it or not all assets trade equally. You have things like the SPY and the Qs that trade a lot more simply and like they follow TA a lot better than something like, let's say, Bitcoin or something very volatile like a beta like silver. You know, they're a little bit more volatile at the end of the day. So, you know, we were just talking about that, and it was trying to like bring some knowledge and insight to newer traders. So we do things like that, many topics, over at tacticaledgetraders.com. Check us out, free courses. You can also join the Discord from there for free, be part of a real community of traders. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. You'll get notifications to go live. Ben goes live 4 days a week, 5 p.m. Eastern. I go live 9 p.m. Eastern, Sundays, Mondays, Fridays, and sometimes Wednesdays, as you see. Anyways, guys, I'm going to jump. My name is Eddie. It was a pleasure. Have a good one, guys.